with two whites think they the baddest, and I'm fucking them both. My niggas sitting here laughing like my son is a joke. Her husband play for the Mavericks, double one for the Colts. I guess it's niggas that have it, and it's niggas that don't. And I don't mean cash, I'm speaking on aura, that means swag. When you can walk in the room and make the scene sad. When you cool and niggas seem mad. I mean dag, you keep switching up coops like everything tag. With two fully, knife with two hoodies. Get your ass clipped for the price of two bullies. Said it's 22 for the white, that's two goodies. D squared, two red, white, and blue pulley. Pair of Sakai's on, a pair like a cyclone. Closet full of fly compared to Sky Zone. Trunk full of pies like hear what you guys want. You said 10 and a half, then yeah, your size gone.
Roll the audio soundbite from Sean Combs in the year of 2000.
Y'all drop $1 million on your head, ratio in the whole thing.
Who brought up the amount of $1 million?
He did.
Puffy did?
Yeah.
Southside Compton Crip KEEFE D was arrested and charged in September of 2023 for the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur. Las Vegas PD claimed to have started gathering new information in 2018 based on claims KEEFE D had made on TV shows and documentaries. Ever since the documentary Murder Rap was released in 2015, which had private audio tapes of KEEFE D from 2009, claiming he played a role in the murder of Tupac Shakur, KEEFE D continued this narrative on several TV shows and YouTube channels, bragging to the world about allegedly being behind the murder of Tupac. With Vegas PD now using this against him, it brings forth what will come next now that he has been arrested. KEEFE D, in his claims about the previous unsolved crime, had implicated New York record executive Puff Daddy as allegedly financing the hit, although the money had never made it to KEEFE D. Puff Daddy had bragged on songs in the year of 2000 about placing hits of a specific amount on people's heads, which KEEFE D in the confession correlated with being the same amount allegedly placed on Tupac. With song lyrics now being used in courts of law, we are going to take a look into Puff Daddy's alleged ties into the Tupac murder based on the KEEFE D narrative and how it may bring him into the case.
He put a hit out on Pac for $1 million. Him and Suge. Not just Pac, on Suge too.
Desperation and fear that caused Combs to solicit this murder from a gang member.
KEEFE D, being a prominent Southside Compton Crip, had claimed during his secretly recorded confession tape of 2009 that his relationship to Puff Daddy went back to 1993. KEEFE D claimed he was introduced to Puff Daddy through Eric Zip Martin. Zip was a notorious figurehead in New York City who was known for finessing people, and KEEFE D claimed that he and Zip were allegedly involved in drug trafficking. KEEFE D claimed Zip introduced Puffy to him in the early 90s when Puffy was holding a party at a club called Paradise 24 in Santa Monica. Police documents claim Puffy would then go on to attend neighborhood baseball games with KEEFE D and Zip, where LA gangs would make wagers on the game, with Zip playing in them as part of the bet. KEEFE D claimed that Puff Daddy had borrowed KEEFE D's car, which was then used in Usher's debut music video for a song called Can You Get With It, being from 1994. KEEFE D had claimed that Puffy paid him afterwards to have the car repainted, as Usher had damaged it when using it in the music video. KEEFE D's relationship with Puffy continued throughout the 1990s, which tied together criminal groups of the East Coast and the West Coast. This is in relation to the Southside Compton Crips and the criminal underworld of New York who Puffy was connected to, which was labelled in a 2003 lawsuit as the Enterprise. Kirk Burroughs was once the president of Puffy's label Bad Boy Entertainment, but was fired in 1997. He had sued Puffy in 2003 for $25 million. In the 37-page legal document, Burroughs says that Puffy had set up what he had dubbed as the Enterprise, which the documents claim was a group which allegedly took part in murder and extortion. This extortion aspect has been tied back into the funding of Bad Boy Entertainment, which is speculated to have been tied into criminal gangs of New York. Tupac, in a 1996 interview with Sway, claimed East Coast drug dealers had Puffy under extortion.
Some East Coast drug dealers got them under extortion. I came and f***ed up everything.
These claims tie into the rumor or theory that Puffy's label was funded by gangsters of New York, which then went on to extort him and his artists. Some reports claim Bad Boy was supposedly funded by the Black Mafia, with some claiming this to be the Detroit Black Mafia family, while others claim it is a different gang of New York. Notorious gangster Walter King Tut Johnson was said to be a member of the Black Mafia gang, which was rumored to have funded the startup of Bad Boy. Tupac, in a 1995 interview with Monster Cody, claimed the gang was called the A-Team.
These fools from New York, this gang out there called A-Team. These fools was mad because I told them I wasn't with them no more.
This gang is associated to notorious New York gangsters such as Haitian Jack and Jimmy Henchman. Jimmy Henchman paid $2,500 to have Tupac shot 5 times by Dexter Isaac and King Tut, being in the lobby of a New York recording studio in 1994, while Puffy and Henchman had been waiting upstairs. This started a rift between Tupac and Puffy's artist Biggie, who was also at the studio when Tupac was set up. Puffy had also started animosity with West Coast record executive Suge Knight a year later in 1995, after an incident had taken place in Atlanta. The 2003 legal documents of Burroughs vs. Puffy claims Puffy approved the 1995 shooting murder of Suge Knight's friend and Blood gang member Jake Robles, which took place at an after party in Atlanta. Deputy C.J. Howard, who was at the party providing off-duty security, identified Southside Compton Crips Corey Edwards and KEEFE D's nephew Orlando Anderson as being with Puffy during the time of the shooting and had listed them as suspects in the case. KEEFE D, during his recorded confession, claimed that Puffy began to give the Southside Compton Crips tickets to his shows when he would perform in California to provide protection from Suge Knight's Bloods.
Let's give us like 40, 45, 50 tickets. He gave us some tickets and I brought the crew.
Suge Knight bailed Tupac out of prison in October of 1995, and he had signed to Death Row Records, with Suge Knight and Tupac now both having animosity towards Puffy and Bad Boy. KEEFE D claimed in December of 1995, after Tupac and Suge Knight had locked Bad Boy associated producer Mark Anthony Bell inside a room and had beaten with bottles to give over Puffy's family's address in California, Puffy had allegedly, after a concert at the Anaheim Coliseum, had taken the Southside Compton Crips back to a party in a hotel room which Zip was also at, where KEEFE D claimed he'd first ever made claims of wanting Suge Knight and Tupac dead.
He said he'd give us anything for them dudes there, you know?
In Anaheim?
Yeah, whole room full of Crips.
Artist Lil C's of Biggie's group Junior Mafia confirmed seeing the Southside Compton Crips at the December concert in 1995, being in the Anaheim Coliseum.
Okay, you saw that guy at number 2 there, huh?
Yep. Good show.
The Soul Train Music Awards took place in March of 1996 at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. Puffy and Biggie were attending the event and were set to be on stage. Tupac and Suge Knight were also attending, and Suge Knight had upward of 30 Bloods dressed in P-Funk shirts representing Pyru, who had planned to pull the Bad Boy artists off the stage. KEEFE D was providing security for the venue and had gotten intel of the plot against the Bad Boy artists, which then stopped it from happening. An argument broke out between the two labels when they had run into each other at the event. Puffy's bodyguard Gene Dill claimed that after this, Puffy had said that he didn't care if Puck had to die, he didn't care if Big had to die, and he didn't care if Suge Knight had to go to jail, but something had to change. KEEFE D had claimed in his recorded confession that allegedly in the summer of 1996, after Tupac released the diss track Hit 'Em Up, aimed towards Puffy and Biggie, Puffy had met with KEEFE D at the Greenblatt Deli in Los Angeles, where $1 million bounty was placed on Tupac and Suge Knight.
Who brought up the amount of $1 million?
He did.
Puffy did?
Yeah, when he told me the greenback.
Police reports from a confidential informant in 1997 claim that Puffy had put a hit out on Tupac and Suge Knight to the Southside Compton Crips. KEEFE D claimed he and Eric Zip Martin separately drove to Las Vegas on September 6, 1996. Fellow Crips Orlando Anderson, Terrence Brown and DeAndre Smith also drove to Las Vegas to meet KEEFE D, being on the following day on September 7th, 1996. They drove in a white Cadillac which was rented from a rent-a-car company in Compton, being under Terrence Brown's mother-in-law's name. KEEFE D claimed they went to Vegas to watch a Mike Tyson fight in the MGM Grand, and they never had tickets to the fight, and I watched it from the MGM Grand lobby bar. Tupac and Suge Knight, along with Death Row and associated Blood gang members, were also going to Las Vegas, as the Mike Tyson fight had been tied into a charity event hosted at a nightclub called Club 662, where a fundraiser was being held for a Las Vegas Metro cop, which Tupac had to serve community service at to avoid jail time. Orlando Anderson was pointed out after the fight by Suge Knight's blood associate Trayvon Lane, who had been involved in an altercation with Orlando Anderson a few months before, after Crips had tried to take the death row chain off of Trayvon's neck, as there was a rumour in Compton that Puffy had put a bounty on the chains. Trayvon Lane went over to Tupac and Suge Knight and made them aware of Orlando Anderson, causing Tupac to be the first to run over and attack him, followed by Suge Knight and the Bloods. KEEFE D, in his secretly recorded confession, claimed that he was at a restaurant with Zip when one of the homies had come over and told him what had just happened to Orlando Anderson.
He just beat up Lane. Yeah, the rest of the MGM at the restaurant. There was a few New Yorkers though, who was with Zip.
KEEFE D had claimed in his recorded confession that Zip, who allegedly knew of the $1 million bounty, had told them that it was the perfect opportunity to claim it.
Perfect opportunity, baby.
That was Zip talking?
Yeah.
Because of what happened with Lane?
Yeah.
KEEFE D, in his initial secretly recorded confession, claimed that the Crips didn't take any weapons with them to Las Vegas, and claimed that they had gotten a Glock from Eric Zip Martin to carry out the hit.
We had no pistols down there, and they told me in the lobby that he had some Jimmys in the bins.
Police reports from a confidential witness claimed Eric Zip Martin had told the Crips they had artillery out there. KEEFE D had claimed that everybody then told him that Tupac and Suge Knight were going to be at Club 662. KEEFE D claimed in his recorded confession that the last thing Zip had said to him, that it was, quote, perfect timing, unquote, to carry out the $1 million hit, to which KEEFE D and some Crips got in a van and rode to Club 662, while Orlando Anderson and the other two Crips took the white Cadillac. KEEFE D claimed after waiting at Club 662 for 20 minutes, they had left, and KEEFE D had got in the Cadillac and they drove to a liquor store. 3 hours had passed from the initial beatdown of Orlando Anderson, and after leaving the liquor store and searching for the BMW which Suge Knight and Tupac were in, they found them on Flamingo Road and Colville Lane after female fans were screaming out at Tupac. Yaki Gaddafi, Tupac's group artist who was in the car behind the BMW, identified the driver as wearing a white cap. Terrence Brown had been the driver according to KEEFE D, who can be seen in this image with the Crips wearing a white cap. Everybody then told him that Tupac and Suge Knight were going to be at Club 662. KEEFE D claimed in his recorded confession that the last thing Zip had said to him, that it was, quote, perfect timing, unquote, to carry out the $1 million hit, to which KEEFE D and some Crips got in a van and rode to Club 662, while Orlando Anderson and the other two Crips took the white Cadillac. KEEFE D claimed after waiting at Club 662 for 20 minutes, they had left, and KEEFE D had got in the Cadillac and they drove to a liquor store. 3 hours had passed from the initial beatdown of Orlando Anderson, and after leaving the liquor store and searching for the BMW which Suge Knight and Tupac were in, they found them on Flamingo Road and Colville Lane after female fans were screaming out at Tupac. Yaki Gaddafi, Tupac's group artist who was in the car behind the BMW, identified the driver as wearing a white cap. Terrence Brown had been the driver according to KEEFE D, who can be seen in this image with the Crips wearing a white cap. KEEFE D also claimed that while riding up, they'd looked in every car window to see which one had Tupac in. Yaki Gaddafi told fellow artist Napoleon that he had seen people in the Cadillac looking in each car before the shooting had taken place. KEEFE D, in his initial recorded confession, claimed he had handed the Glock which Zip allegedly gave them to Orlando Anderson, who had then carried out the shooting, which ultimately ended up being fatal for Tupac. KEEFE D claimed the very first bullet fired skimmed Suge Knight's head, which he thought had killed him, but Suge Knight has claimed it was the later fire when he was pulling Tupac down is when a bullet skimmed his head. KEEFE D claimed they had parked the car just a block away from where the BMW came to a stop and placed the Glock on the front wheel tire and then went and got drunk at their hotel. KEEFE D had claimed that while walking away, him and the Crips had seen the ambulance pass by which had Tupac and Suge Knight in.
We on Las Vegas Boulevard at the crosswalk, and they pull up a down lounge right next to us.
KEEFE D claimed the next day they retrieved the Glock and drove back to Los Angeles, where the car was then also placed in an auto shop to repair bullet holes after Suge Knight's Bloods had returned fire during a chase. The Murder Rap documentary, which contains police interviews with Puffy's bodyguard Eugene Dill, claims the New Yorkers that were in Vegas the night before had gotten the word back to Gene about what had taken place in Vegas.
The New Yorkers went home and told Puffy's bodyguard Eugene Dill exactly what had happened in Las Vegas.
It was Zip, Daddy, and some other people I know from New York. They were in Vegas the night Pop got killed.
KEEFE D claimed after returning to LA while DeAndre Smith and Orlando Anderson were driving around in the Cadillac bragging about shooting Tupac, KEEFE D met up with Zip at a restaurant in Hollywood. KEEFE D claimed while there Puffy had called Zip and asked was that us, and Zip told him it was.
Pop kept on calling, was that us? That us? And he told him, yeah, it was us. Faith called him.
KEEFE D also claimed that Biggie's wife Faith Evans had called and asked the same question. KEEFE D claimed he then asked Zip when he would get the bounty for carrying out the shooting, but this part doesn't really make sense as Tupac had not died until 6 days after being shot, whereas KEEFE D claimed that the meeting took place the day after the shooting while Tupac still would have been alive.
So you get back to LA the next day, Zip calls you, says meet me at the Hot One place.
Pop kept on calling, was that us? That us? And he told him, yeah, it was us. We gonna get our little money.
KEEFE D claimed 6 weeks passed with the news breaking of Tupac's death, but KEEFE D still never got the money. During this period, a gang war broke out in Compton between the Bloods and Crips due to the events which took place in Las Vegas, with there being reports of $100,000 bounties being on the heads of each Crip individual who were believed to be in a Cadillac. KEEFE D claimed he had run into an associate of Bad Boy who told him Puffy had given the money to Zip, but Zip kept it for himself. Puffy's bodyguard Gene Dill done an interview with Vlad TV where he claimed he saw the check which had come from Jimmy Henchman given to Zip, which Zip was carrying in his back right pocket. Gene claimed the check was disguised as a payment to Blackground Records, which is owned by Aaliyah's uncle. This would indicate that Jimmy Henchman had followed up on funding a second hit on Tupac through Puffy, like the 1994 shooting which Tupac had survived. KEEFE D claimed even if he would have only gotten half of the money, he never would have snitched. Once KEEFE D began doing interviews from 2018 onward about these claims, many discrepancies can be found in his initial statements to those he has made on other platforms. KEEFE D's claims was revealed in a book in 2011, which came from a proffer agreement made with the US government from a task force headed by LAPD cop Greg Kading. KEEFE D had been set up by the task force in a sting operation under purchasing a large quantity of drugs, where he was then offered immunity sparing him from a 25-year prison sentence, leading to him making a confession about the Tupac murder, placing the responsibility on a dead person, which was his nephew Orlando Anderson, who had been dead since 1998. The audio recordings of his confession from 2009, where he alleged that Puffy had financed a hit, was then included in a documentary made from the book called Murder Rap, released in 2015. KEEFE D began doing interviews in 2018 where he has since changed his story about several things he initially had mentioned in the secretly recorded confession. KEEFE D mirrored the claims he had revealed in the 2015 documentary Murder Rap, being in his 2019 book Compton Street Legend. When questioned on Vlad TV in a 2019 interview about quotes in his book about himself and the Crips not having weapons in Vegas, he replies by saying, quote, "Who said that?" unquote, with Vlad then reminding him that he had said in his book that Zip had supplied the weapon, which KEEFE D goes on to ignore the question when reminded of this statement, insinuating that this part may have been made up. Also in a 2009 confession, he makes two different statements about the $1 million bounty. Firstly, he goes on to say we wanted $1 million, claiming that the Crips had asked for $1 million to begin with, but then claims in the very next statement that it was Puffy who had put forward the $1 million bounty.
We wanted $1 million.
Who brought up the amount of $1 million?
He did.
Puffy did?
Yeah. We wanted $1 million.
KEEFE D, in an interview with YouTube channel Art of Dialogue from 2021, when questioned on if Puffy had made comments of $1 million hit, KEEFE D claims that Puffy had never made such statements and put the blame on Greg Kading for pulling the answer out of him, claiming that Kading had baited him into it during the secretly recorded interview.
How's it go? How's the conversation go? I mean, okay, listen, I'll do it, but I need $500,000. Or you tell him we'll do it for $1 million, and he's like, okay, I'll do it for $1 million. He agrees, you shake on it or something like that.
KEEFE D also claimed during interviews with the same platform that Orlando Anderson and the Crips went to the hospital after the incident took place, as Orlando Anderson had a dislocated shoulder, but in his secretly recorded interview from 2009, he claimed that Zip had gave them a Glock and they went right to Club 662. This brings up the question of if Orlando Anderson was actually the shooter, or if KEEFE D had put the blame on him due to him already being dead, for KEEFE D to then get out of the initial 25-year prison sentence, being from the governmental task force. Suge Knight has come out on 2 separate occasions, including in a prison interview carried out in 2018 with Michael Douglas Carlin, and an interview carried out after KEEFE D's arrest in 2023 with TMZ, where Suge Knight revealed that Orlando Anderson was not the shooter.
I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter.
Then who shot Tupac?
It wasn't Anderson, so that's all I got to say about that part.
You are saying Orlando was not the shooter.
1,000%.
Police reports from a Southside Compton Crip who was a confidential informant revealed that DeAndre Smith was bragging the next day in Compton, saying, quote, "I let off on Tupac," unquote, claiming responsibility that he had carried out the shooting, not Orlando Anderson.
Dre said he himself let off. What does let off on him mean?
Being rich has a dramatically different definition depending on who you ask. Take Lauren, for example, hung out with her person.
The confidential informant claimed DeAndre Smith was allegedly doing this while driving around in the white Cadillac before taking it to the auto shop to be repaired. Rapper Tretch had walked out on an interview with Vlad TV after Vlad brought up KEEFE D's confession, claiming that Orlando Anderson killed Tupac, with Tretch's reasoning for walking out on the interview was that he claimed gangbangers would want clout for being responsible for murdering such a high-profile person, and went on to claim that the police had killed Tupac and Biggie. Suge Knight made these same claims during a prison interview with Michael Douglas Carlin in 2018, where Suge Knight, when claiming Orlando Anderson was not the shooter, went on to claim that instead, allegedly, LAPD Rampart cop Rafael Perez was involved and that they were trying to kill him too. In the documentary Tupac and Biggie Murders: What Really Happened, produced by Amplified, which has since been removed from YouTube, documentary filmmaker RJ Bond made claims that LAPD detective Russell Paul had found out that Las Vegas PD had analysed MGM Grand surveillance footage which placed Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand lobby bar during the time of the shooting. KEEFE D since 2018 has been going on TV and internet platforms sticking with the same narrative that he was in the car when Orlando Anderson carried out the shooting and was responsible for handing him a Glock. KEEFE D was arrested and charged on September 29, 2023, being in relation to the murder of Tupac Shakur. Vegas PD claimed this came after they had reviewed KEEFE D's ongoing public statements from 2018 to 2023 concerning what he alleges to have been involved in regarding the murder of Tupac. KEEFE D had initially, before any statements back in 1998, had told the FBI that the Crips had nothing to do with Tupac's shooting and that they were not even at the scene of the crime during the time it had taken place. KEEFE D was forced into the confession by the governmental task force, leading to his privately recorded statements being included in the 2015 documentary Murder Rap, where he implicated Puffy as funding the hit. KEEFE D done this to avoid a 25-year prison sentence, where he placed the blame on Orlando Anderson, who was already dead. Some believe KEEFE D was telling the truth and went on to continuously brag about the crime leading to his arrest for the murder, while others believe Suge Knight's claims of Orlando Anderson not being the shooter. This would mean KEEFE D ran with the story to get himself out of the 25-year prison sentence and then had to stick with it, which is why so many inconsistencies had come up in his later interviews afterwards. Now Las Vegas police are following the KEEFE D narrative, whether it be true or false. What does it mean is next for Puff Daddy, after being that KEEFE D had implicated him in the murder case?
Bad Boy Entertainment had actually hired Crips for security work out on the West Coast. Is that true?
We've never hired Crips or any other gang faction to do security for us.
Puffy, during an interview following the death of Biggie Smalls in 1997, which took place on MTV, was questioned on if he had ever hired Crips for security after an affidavit was released by Compton police claiming Puffy had hired Crips for security.
I heard your report about an affidavit from the Compton police, but I'm just here to say that it's not the truth.
People who believe in Suge Knight's theory of cops being involved feel as if this affidavit was released to promote the Orlando Anderson theory, using him as a scapegoat, whereas many people have identified the Crips as being around Puffy. Puffy never officially hired the Crips in the means of paying them, but would supply them with tickets to shows, with the murder rap documentary revealing bodyguard Eugene Dill's police interviews, where he claimed Puffy gave away a large quantity of tickets to the Crips.
There had to be anywhere from 35 to 50 some Crips that rolled with them. Concert tickets and everything like that.
Puffy in 2016, while on the radio show The Breakfast Club, was questioned on the claims made in the murder rap documentary by KEEFE D, where he called the claims nonsense.
It was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there.
KEEFE D has recently been seen in court with it being televised. Therefore, Puffy could be subpoenaed to take the stand if his name is simply brought up in court. This was shown in a civil trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, as Amber Heard had mentioned Johnny Depp's former girlfriend Kate Moss while on the stand, which then meant Kate Moss was brought in to testify on behalf of Johnny Depp. This means Puffy could be brought to publicly testify if KEEFE D's trial is televised, if lawyers or the court system go through with bringing him into court, if his name is mentioned during the trial. The only physical evidence which backs the paper trail which Puffy has been tied to is a nightclub in New York called the Zip Code. This nightclub was purchased by Zip, with FBI reports claiming it was the bounty given to Zip to go to KEEFE D, which was used to purchase the nightclub. Gene Deal in his Vlad TV interview claimed the check came from Jimmy Henchman to Zip, with FBI reports claiming the money then went on to purchase the Zip Code nightclub in New York. Therefore, if the nightclub still exists, the police would have to find the financial records of the investment of the Zip Code, which would then tie back into the check Gene Deal claims Zip had in his right back pocket, which came from Jimmy Henchman, which was intended to go from Puffy to KEEFE D for the Tupac murder. This would be the only physical asset remaining which would tie a paper trail from Puffy to KEEFE D for the hit. However, since the money never made it to KEEFE D, it could never be proved that the money was to go to KEEFE D. As Gene Deal revealed, it was disguised as a payment under Blackground Records. This means, other than statements from those who have claimed to have been involved, there is no physical evidence linking Puffy to the financial heading of the hit. If KEEFE D were to simply mention Puffy by name during the trial, then Puffy could be subpoenaed to show up in court to testify based on the claims made against him by KEEFE D. Lyrics have been known to have been used in court, with it being argued whether or not they can be admissible as court evidence, but at least one US state in 2021 allowed rap lyrics to become admissible as court evidence. Puffy in the song Muscle Game, released in the year of 2000, is heard saying, quote, "F with me, I'll drop $1 million on your head, erase you and your whole family," unquote. Many people have come to feel this was Puffy bragging about the $1 million hit which KEEFE D alleges Puffy put out on Tupac, with Tupac also known for not having any children due to dying young. In the 1997 song Can't Nobody Hold Me Down by Puffy, he says, quote, "We make hits that will rearrange your whole set," unquote. Some believe these are shots at Tupac and Suge Knight, as after Tupac was murdered, it caused the downfall of Death Row Records as Suge Knight went to prison. People have come to feel these lyrics could be used against Puffy if he were to have been brought into the trial against KEEFE D. In this video, we took a look into KEEFE D's claims against P. Diddy in the statements which had him arrested for Tupac's murder. Some believe in KEEFE D's claims while others believe in Suge Knight's claims of Orlando Anderson not being the shooter. Las Vegas police are now going forward with the KEEFE D narrative, which will close the case under that theory, and even if KEEFE D were to backtrack, he would still go to prison as he was not allowed to change his story under the proffer agreement given to him by the governmental task force. If KEEFE D continues with the same claims and folds on Puffy when going to trial, then Puffy could be brought into the case and maybe take the stand. Let me know if you think anything will happen regarding with Puffy in the comment section.
Like and share this video, hit the notification bell and subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, you heard me? Keep low is the channel. Give this video a big thumbs up. I am LASHEIM the God if you don't know me. I do videos on street legends and I drop knowledge to help you elevate. Comment on this video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Keep low. Keep low. You never tell, they'll never know. Stay focused.